That's right, I'm bringing back an old topic. So, in case if you're uncultured, about 10 years ago, Martin Scorsese said that Marvel films or superhero films as a whole are not cinema. And you know, Martin Scorsese, being the very successful filmmaker he divided people, as one celebrity does, leading to many people wondering what requires as cinema and what doesn't, and leading to many other people arguing that Marvel is cinema, even though I completely agree with Marty saying that it is not. And then there are many other people who try to figure out what defies a movie to becoming cinema, when people should be asking, what's the difference between a movie and a film? And even more, what's the difference between those and cinema? Well, that's what we're going over today. I should start off by mentioning that the term cinema tends to get thrown around a lot just loosely and haphazardly, when it definitely shouldn't be. Because a lot of the time, the term cinema gets thrown around for many things, such as movies, or not just movies, but also TV shows, video games, online videos, etc. You know, completely going against the definition of cinema. But first we have to define the bottom two before cinema, movie and film. Many people tend to throw around the term film or movie, just like cinema tends to get used interchangeably, except that's not true. That's not freaking true. Because the main difference between a movie and a film, while both can be considered pieces of art, a movie is made purely for entertainment. So under this definition, what can be seen as a movie? Well, think of franchise films. You know, going back to what Martin Scorsese said, Marvel and DC. They're the sort of films that you pay to watch just to see. You don't pay to watch them to learn more about the art of film. No, you want to watch them so that you can be ultimately entertained. And that's a simple fact. That's why Hollywood makes so many remakes and sequels and prequels and rip-offs and reboots. Because you're already familiar with something that you're already entertained by. So, why not just take that and, you know, the people who make movies don't really care what's put on the screen. They just want to ensure that your eyes are on the screen at all times so that you can get your freaking money's worth. Or at least you can say you got your money's worth. Hence, movies. Moving on to film. Now we can get some actual definitions. A film is a work of visual art that uses moving images, sound, and storytelling to communicate ideas and or emotion. That's basically the best way it can be put. When people talk about films, they generally talk about films that are considered the greatest, or that are at least considered good. You've seen this recently with films like Obsession and The Backrooms and Project Hail Mary, and it's true, they are films. The people who make films, especially the director, understand what's being put in front of the camera and why, though we'll get to that later. If you want to know more about how you can tell a director is good, check out my video, which is the only other filmmaking video I have on this channel. And now's the moment you've been waiting for. The moment you clicked on this video for. You will be defined cinema. You will be defined cinema. So what turns a film from just a film to cinematic? Well, let me define cinema real quick. Cinema is defined as a work of visual art that rises above standard entertainment value and utilizes the full artistic language of film, utilizing deliberate storytelling, thematic depth, and technical craft of filmmaking as a whole. If you've seen my previous video, you already understand what kind of directors fit into the films that are technically considered cinema. They ultimately utilize everything within and out of the camera, such as music and editing and sound and performances of an actor, to ultimately convey an idea that they want to. And just like with films, works of cinema understand what to be put in front of the camera and why. But what defines them from being separate of film is how. Here's a quick filmmaking exercise. Take any object you have around the house, attach a story to it, and then try to tell that through a visual story within your camera. Now, how you're going to do this is with the 3 questions that we've already covered that can help a filmmaker make cinema. What, why, and how. First up, we have what. What is being shown in front of the camera? For example, an apple. That's literally it. With what, it can be just one word, it can be a group of people, it can be a setting, it could be, like we said, an object. It just has to be in front of the camera. Next up, why? Why am I being shown this subject? Something important of notice, by the way, your answer has to be something better than it looks good. No one wants to look at something just because it looks good. We want to look at it for a reason. This is where you start to implement visual storytelling. Is this good visual storytelling? Yes, but it can be better. So why am I looking at something other than the fact that it looks good? Well, going back to my apple example, the apple can look as good as it wants, but that's not the real reason you're here to see it. I can attach any kind of story I want to it, so I'm going to make my story that the apple is going to get eaten. Finally, how? How do I show this story visually? This is where you start to implement the works of cinema. This is where you get deep into the technical craft of filmmaking. This is how you do deliberate visual storytelling to create the ultimate storytelling experience. And that's exactly why we watch films and consider them cinema, because of that experience that we get. It's because we understand what's going on, but we can't exactly say what it is. Because you don't know, but now you do. Going back to my apple example. We know what we're looking at, an apple. We know why we're looking at it, because it's going to be eaten. But how do we know it's going to get eaten? Well, we can do basically anything we want from here. We can put a chopping board underneath it. We could put a knife next to it. We could have it at a high angle to make the apple seem a little small. This even invokes a sense of sympathy within the audience, mind you. Or if we want to, we could have a hand reach out for the knife and holding it towards the apple. We could use a different kind of board to make the apple stand out more, making it seem like more of a target to the knife-handed man. I can even cut to the man's reaction. I don't know, I'm spitballing, but it works. And the best part of all this is that was just one example. You could do this with literally anything. You could take a pen and say that it's freaking magic or something. How would you show that? But now you understand what goes into the difference between a movie, a film, and cinema. And now you understand how to create a visual story properly. And now you understand that Martin Scorsese, my dog, was right. Ooh. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, get off YouTube and read a book. Peace.